Thank you. Miriam Cates, GB News. And Prime Minister, you've said that we are living through the end of the liberal world order, and certainly current events in Venezuela and Greenland and Ukraine would confirm that. But in those events, we're also increasingly seeing Europe completely sidelined. We're now just observers, not actors anymore. Now, you've also said that there is a route back to a strong Europe through a patriotic takeover of power in Brussels and a return to national sovereignty. But for Western European countries like the UK and France and Germany, where mass migration has so changed our populations, do you really believe that there is a democratic route back to patriotism, or are our nations doomed to decline?
Először is, if you allow me to answer in Hungarian, először is adjunk hálát a Jóistennek.
First of all, let's express our gratitude to the Lord that we've been able to stay away from this. So I agree with every single word of the new national security strategy of the US, that Europe actually brought in itself such a calamity that actually threatens with the end of its civilization. It's called migration, and the fact that Hungary managed to stay away from this, well, how we managed, it's really a miracle. And I'm not only just praising my own house, as we say in Hungary, because I know how we stayed out of this in 2015 when the whole mass migration started, and we had to say yes or no. Everybody was saying yes. We were the only ones to say no. I know what happened then. But I think it's that by 2015, a number of European countries' migration had become a completely national phenomenon, but it wasn't so strong as it became in 2015. But years, decades earlier, they started this replacement of the population, a decline in childbirths of the Christian children, and the influx of non-Christian population with a high number of children being born. And this had been happening for decades by 2015. But this didn't happen in Hungary. And then in 2015, we actually, and I think it is because of the courage we had to make this, well, we actually had something to preserve. In 2015, a number of Western European countries thought that this is the world we are living in, but all of a sudden there's so many of them that have arrived at once, but they have been coming slowly. So it is possible that culturally they didn't have the shock in Western Europe that we had when they appeared here on the border or at the Keleti railway station in Budapest. That came as a shock for us. And I think God was with us throughout history. Because of this shock, we immediately said no. The Europeans said that this is a European historic process that is happening. There is no way going against it. They had actually acquiesced to becoming a country of migrants. In some Western European countries, it had a positive content meaning to it. So I am very happy and I'm very grateful to the Lord that
your personal data could be exposed right now without you even knowing it. And if you want it removed, use incogni.com/GB News in the description now and get 60% off an annual plan on us. Incogni reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information be deleted from their databases. And they'll keep sending removal requests to make sure your data stays gone. Sometimes your information ends up on strange, obscure websites that automated tools just can't reach. And that's why Incogni just launched their unlimited plan with a feature called Custom Removals. With this, you can submit any link where your personal information appears, literally paste in the URL, and their privacy team will investigate and work to get it removed. And getting started is super easy. Hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account, and tell them whose data you want removed. Grant them permission to work on your behalf, and then all you've got to do is sit back and relax. They'll keep you updated along the way. Incogni is totally risk-free for 30 days. If you try it, it's not for you, you'll get a full refund. So take back control of your personal data today with Incogni. Use our code GBNews at checkout via the link in the description, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan.
already prior to our term in office, we managed to stay away from migration, and we had the strength to say no. May I recall, it wasn't difficult to say no, because every sane-minded Hungarian said no. What really took courage was to stick to our decisions. There was a huge pressure on us from Western Europe, especially from Germany. That was a political feat, I think. And we had a price to pay, and we paid the price, because Hungary has been punished for this. Hungary has been accused because of this. I think unjustly accused. But Hungary persevered, and it is quite clear that now we opted for the winning choice. By today it has become clear, and it is not up to me to speak for other countries, but the majority of Western countries would today give one hand if they could be a country free of migration. Ask a German, ask a French. What kind of a world would it be if you didn't have migrants, like we don't here? Would you like that? I think a referendum, would you like to live in a France or in a Germany where there would be no migrants? I think that would go through. That's the situation. It is quite a bad story, because it is actually, if you wish, separating countries of the European Union, all those who have participated in the decisions that supported migration. They are trying to salvage, if you wish, their career, their future, and their decision. They cannot change. They have allowed all these people in. It is very difficult to come back from this. And what's more, most of the Western European countries are thinking, if this is the case, how should we live together with this situation? For us, the question is how we should not find ourselves in such a situation, which means we have a completely different logic on migration as they do. They want to manage it, they want to treat it, and we just don't want it to happen. And that is actually just making a digression, if you wish, separating opinions on migration and a lot of argument. But there continues to be one important decision we should make in Hungary. It is quite unprecedented in the history of the European Union that any country, real or assumed, injustice should happen, that we should be paying 1 million euros every day. We are having to pay this because we are not allowing migrants across our borders. We have a set of legal regulations that do not allow them to enter, and for that they are actually punishing us financially, and that is a huge pressure. That's 365 million euros every year. That's a lot of money. I had a calculation, and I said it still is cheaper than to allow them in. Purely on financial grounds, it would still be, are still better off financially if we don't allow them in. We don't assume all the costs, financial, social burden, etc. of having migrants. Even this way, that we are having to pay this huge sum by Hungarian standards, still I could consider it correct that we stick to our original decision. And I'm not revealing any secrets. I've said this. 12th of June, the Migration Pact will enter into force. That is completely contradictory to the interests of Hungary. They want to have immediately deploy 400 migrants here. We should allow them. Somebody allowed them to enter the EU. Now we should just take them over. And then they want to force us to actually receive a minimum of 27,000 to process a minimum of 27,000 migration applications, which means we have to keep around 10,000 people in such refugee camps. We don't want to adjudicate on 27,000 requests. We have a Hungarian system where they are not allowed to submit such applications on the border. They have to wait outside of the borders of Hungary before a decision is made in Hungary. So you cannot submit this application only at our embassies. If you ever want to make it into our country, you have to wait outside of the country. And then once you get the permission, then you are allowed to enter. All those who have given up on this system have lost. And if you want to rectify this situation by not changing, or while not changing it, you will also lose. The real issue is, will you allow them to enter enter the EU? Do you allow anybody to enter into the EU without a positive decision? If you allow them without that, you will never be free of them. All kinds of legal mechanisms, business mechanisms, all the NGOs, all the lawyers, everybody who will just start protecting, defending these people, protracted procedures and processes. That's what's happening in Western Europe. That's the situation. And looking from America, I know it is for a grave concern. Looking at it from Hungary is even more concerning. How the two parts of Europe can live together. And this is not only Hungary. I mean, the Slovaks are in a similar situation. The Czechs, they also have a policy that is anti-migration. So Central Europe is going to be free of migrants. It's not going to be a migration zone, where Western Europe continues to be a migration zone and pro-migrant. And how we'll be able to live together, it's more and more difficult to overcome this problem. Look at the present decision. When they actually had the 400 people, they want to send these 400 people here, they also said to us, Hungary does not have any migration pressure, there is no migration threat. Hungary is a country, because it is not subjected to such a danger, Hungary should receive migrants from Western Europe. I mean, go down to the border, several hundreds, several thousands of people on the border serving, military and law enforcement serving. You protect your own borders, they tell you, oh, you are free of migration, you are not under threat, then have some. It's so difficult for these two logics to live together in the same system. But they can come, let them come. What I'm expecting is that in the next coming 10, 15 years, there's going to be a substantial requirement from Western Europe, not migrants, indigenous Europeans, using the right of free travel and free movement to come and work and live in Hungary. I count on that. It is increasing, but there will be a strong increase. And believe me, it is going to contribute to the demographic problems in Hungary as well, to improve that. We won't have migrants, we'll have ex-French, ex-Germans. We've had that before. As long as they come without weapons, we are okay with them.